Welcome to a brand new challenge here on this channel on Madden 24, and this challenge is probably going to make me absolutely hate my own decision making. What I'm going to be doing here is a rebuild off a fantasy draft, so we are going to be resetting the entire NFL, but the twist is I have to take the worst player at every single position group, so essentially we're going to start with the worst team you have ever seen. Now this will not be a one video rebuild because I feel like that would be an insanely long video. I know some channels are into doing that, that's not really my style. So as of right now, my plan is to do at least 3 seasons per episode, and we'll see how far we can go. But let's go ahead and kick off this fantasy draft. Well, the Browns decided to not get too risky. They decided to retain Myles Garrett, but now we have the 18th pick. Not that it really matters where we pick though, because we do have to take from the bottom of a position group. My options at quarterback really would not have been great anyway. I would say right now if I was actually taking from this list, I would probably go CJ Stroud. But we don't get to take any of these guys. We get to go all the way down here to the bottom and take 54 overall Holton Ahlers. Now I will say later on in the draft, we obviously have to take more than one quarterback. So we're probably going to get one of these guys and they will end up being the starter. But because of the process, I'm going all the way down to the bottom of the list and taking Holton Ahlers, who is officially going to be our first round pick despite probably not being our starting quarterback. Well, now I'm in the second round and I've noticed something really bad for me actually. This list only has the top 100. Because we took Holton Ahlers, Deshaun Kaiser is now down here at a 54 overall, so we'll have to take him, and we have our 2 quarterbacks on the roster. I don't really have a plan for what order I'm going to take the position groups in, but I feel like going running back next, and that is going to be Jordan Mason out of Georgia Tech, a 69 overall, so considerably better than our quarterback. The bottom receivers are actually not too bad, 71 overall and 72 overall, and Van Jefferson and Quez Watkins. So as of right now, we're going to go Van Jefferson. We're going to see if we can get Quez Watkins, and we're actually going to have a star dev trait with Jefferson. I'll be honest, I don't know why I already forgot that it just shows the top 100, so the next one up is not going to be Quez Watkins. It's actually going to be Tyler Scott out of Cincinnati, who as of right now is actually a normal dev trait, but is a scheme fit and only 21 years old. We're now going to jump over to the defensive side of the ball to take our defensive captain in Marcus Bailey at middle linebacker, 26 years old, 66 overall. Welcome to the Vikings. I don't really think it's going to matter who we have at quarterback because our offensive line is going to be absolutely awful here. The left tackle on the board right now is a 52. The left guard is a 55. The center is actually going to be even lower than that. He's a 49 overall. The right guard is going to come out at a 52. And the right tackle is a 54. So I don't really think if I wait any longer, they're going to get any worse because it's really hard to get lower than that. So instead, I'm going to come over here to corner and take the bottom guy on this list, which is only a 71 overall in Cameron Dantzler, and he is actually going to come in as a star dev trade. And why not come back and just take another corner? How about Kytrell Clark? And I'm really hoping I said your name right, but he's a 71 overall as well and a scheme fit. Welcome to Minnesota. As we jump into round 9, looking at the left tackles, they actually don't get to show the top 100 because there's only 86 guys remaining. So our 2 left tackles are probably going to end up being these 2 guys, so I can really wait on that and try to get other position groups. Like for instance, how about we start on the defensive line and take defensive end Mike Green at a 62 overall. I'm not going to sit here and make you guys watch all of these picks because it's really going to be a process, I think, and obviously I can't simulate any, otherwise they will take someone that we really shouldn't. But now with free safety, we're going to come down here and take Yusef Corker out of Kentucky, a 63 overall who is 24 years old. Alright, so I actually lied. I just showed you guys the first 10 picks. I was intending to jump around and show you guys other picks, but really no one else was exciting. So we get to jump right to the end of the draft where you can see we have a 59 overall team. Now I will add, I actually do really like our receiving core, at least comparatively to the rest of the team. We have a star dev trait in Van Jefferson, but this offensive lineup here is going to get someone absolutely murdered. And then over on the defensive side of the ball, we have a pretty bad setup here too. We do have 1-star dev trait on this side of the ball as well in Cameron Dantzler. These will be the top players on our roster, and 3 of the 5 are wide receivers, and those other 2 are both corners. So that should be a pretty interesting position group to watch for us. But now let's take a look at our kicker and our punter. Our kicker is Alex Kessman, who has 97 kick power. So he has an absolute cannon attached at his hip. The problem is he fires that cannon while blindfolded because that accuracy rating is a 67. And our punter, kind of the same story. A slightly smaller cannon at a 90 kick power. I would say that's probably on the lower end actually for punters. And then a 60 kick accuracy from Colby Wadman. Here are going to be the main settings I am using in this franchise. Trade difficulty has been set to hard because I feel like it's a little bit more realistic. And then the free agent motivation impact has been set to high because personally I feel like you get a bit different classes, and then also it's a bit more realistic because a lot of these higher rated guys are not going to want to come play for this team right now. We do now have to set a season goal, and obviously I really wish I could go lower than 4 wins. I would say don't expect anything from this team. We will go with the lowest option of 4 wins though, but I highly doubt we're even going to get that. I'm not going to go through and look at everyone in the league, but I do want to see where some of the top guys ended up. Like Justin Jefferson is now a Raider. Mahomes is now a Falcon. Now in simulation, generally Desmond Ridder will put up some insane numbers, and he is nowhere near rated what Patrick Mahomes is, so the Falcons may be actually unbeatable. Christian McCaffrey is a Buccaneer, Tyreek Hill is a Raven, Aaron Donald is a Cowboy, and Travis Kelce is a Charger. If I have any Chiefs fan watching this, I apologize for that image on your screen. Micah Parsons is an Eagle. I mean, he is kind of from that area. And then Lamar Jackson is now a Chief. So they get to go from 99 overall Patrick Mahomes to 98 overall Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I would say it's a pretty solid, trade out. But now let's go ahead and jump to the mid-season point and see where this team is and see if we have managed to somehow pull out a victory somewhere. Yeah, I honestly can't say I am shocked at all that we are 0-7 here at week 8 in the season, and we have the dead last ranked offense and defense. But for now, we're going to jump to the end of the regular season and check out all the stats and awards. And yep, there it goes. We officially finished this season 0-17 and dead last in every single team ranking except for defensive passing yards per game somehow. I imagine because the other teams were running for 197 yards on us and never really needed to throw the ball in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say that assumption was pretty accurate because it doesn't look like we were even close in any of these games. 12-28 might be our closest game of the season. Deshaun Kaiser only completed 50% of his passes on the season, barely broke 2,900 yards, got 10 passing touchdowns, and got picked off 18 times. Holden Ahlers came in and threw 1 pass that managed to get intercepted, so great season from him. Running the ball, Jordan Mason ran for 529 yards and 4 touchdowns. Kaiser ran for a couple. McFarland ran for a couple. It looks like our backup tight end Ben Sims even got in for 1. And then receiving, Van Jefferson had 843 yards and 4 scores. Tyler Scott had 842 yards and 3 scores. So I feel like they had pretty solid seasons. But yeah, we probably need a new quarterback here. And it looks like Marcus Bailey has led the team in tackles with 132. And in sacks, we only got 3 on the entire year. 2 from Christian Ellis and 1 from Adebaware. Then in interceptions, we got a handful this year. Thomas Graham got 3. Keitrell Clark, I'm not real sure, he got 2. And Marcus Bailey got 1. Lamar Jackson ends up leading the league in passing yards with 4,800. Dak Prescott, who is now a Cincinnati Bengal, goes for 45. Baker Mayfield is in 3rd place. But what about the most touchdowns? That goes to Dak with 50 on the year. Interceptions goes to Russell Wilson, who is now the quarterback in San Francisco. Running the ball, it looks like Derrick Henry led the league in rushing yards over in Vegas. And touchdowns is Breece Hall, who got 27 with the Chargers. That is absolutely absurd. Receiving, Amari Cooper back in Dallas with 118 catches, 1,600 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And Tim Patrick actually leads the league in receiving touchdowns. I'm checking out the passing stats again because generally Desmond Ridder is really good in the Falcons offense, and I mentioned that. And then I don't see Mahomes up here at all. How far down is he? Did he not have that good of a year? He only had 26 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. That's really weird for the Falcons offense. Hell, Desmond Ridder is actually higher than him in touchdowns, or I guess they tied at 26 apiece, but he does have more yards. But however, despite the fact that he didn't seem to put up a ton of crazy numbers in the regular season, Mahomes does manage to go to the Super Bowl and beat his former team 35-28, and you can see all the league awards on the right side of the screen. The MVP goes to Lamar Jackson, Coach of the Year is Zach Taylor, Offensive Player of the Year is Derrick Henry, Defensive Player of the Year is Aaron Donald, Offensive Rookie of the Year is Bijan Robinson in Kansas City, and Defensive Rookie of the Year is going to go to Jalen Carter, who is now in Indianapolis. We do have quite a few players here that are ready to negotiate their contracts, but not a lot of people are willing to come back here, and I don't really want to throw a lot of money at these guys that aren't really highly rated. So there's a couple guys I may throw a contract at, but a lot of people are going to end up walking. I would actually like to keep our kicker. I feel like he was not the problem last season at all. but I'm only going to offer him a 1-year deal just in case we find someone better, but he's going to test out free agency. Well, I guess we're also going to offer our punter in Colby Wadman, but once again, just a 1-year offer. If he doesn't take it, he doesn't take it, and he's going to test out free agency as well. I would actually like to keep Jordan Mason, so we're going to bump his money up just a bit. A 2-year deal. He has very little interest in coming back, and he actually will end up re-signing, so we get to keep our main running back from last season. I'm not going to guarantee he's going to be our main running back this season. But past him, we're going to let everyone else go into free agency, and we'll see if we can get a lot better there. Like I said, I'm going to try to play it a little bit realistic. If they don't have a ton of interest in coming here, I'm not just going to throw a ton of money at them. But I also don't know what this free agency class is going to look like after one season of a fantasy draft. There is actually more talent here in this free agency class than I thought there was going to be, but not a lot of interest in coming to Minnesota. Here is the free agent class I ended up with. Yes, there are some really low-rated guys here, but I promise you they were upgrades over what we had. First, we have left end Kingsley Jonathan, then we have right tackle Matt Pert, quarterback Andy Dalton. The main reason I brought him in is because of his mentor player tag. I do intend to draft a quarterback, and being a mentor, he should be able to help him. Left guard John Gaines, left end Rasheem Green, free safety Lonnie Johnson, middle linebacker Landon Collins. He is really the only guy that had no interest in coming here, but he also got no other offers. We also got left tackle Eric Fisher, punter Jordan Stout, and an 82 overall kicker in Brandon Aubrey. As we now get ready for the draft, we obviously have the #1 overall pick. We also have our own 2nd round pick, but we do not own a 3rd round pick. So there is a chance I trade the 2nd round pick away, but we have Detroit's 4th round pick, then our own 5th round, Kansas City's 5th round, and then a 6th round pick. We also have the option of trading away the #1 pick here. I really don't think we will, but let's go ahead and review these offers. The Browns are offering quite a bit here. Washington would want us to fall back about 5 spots. The Rams are wanting us to fall back 26 spots. Absolutely not. I would only be willing to fall back to 2, maybe 3. Philadelphia would let us fall back to 7, and the Dolphins would let us fall back to 8. Now, we're going to go ahead and sit here and make this pick, because I think we really lucked out going 0-17 in this season, getting this quarterback class, because yeah, Frank Welch looks like he's pretty good, but Jimmy Edwards, a top 5 projection, a top 5 talent, with A, throw accuracy deep, medium, short, and throwing under pressure. Over here you can see he also has A, awareness, B, break sack. He does have D, injury, which is a little bit concerning, C, play action. But then you come over here and look, he has elite throw power. So Jimmy Edwards, you will be moving from Michigan to Minnesota because you are now our franchise quarterback with a hidden dev trait and 95 throw power. Now with the beginning of the 2nd round, as I told you guys earlier, we were probably going to trade this pick. We will be trading it to Chicago. I know it's an interdivision trade, probably not a great idea, but they are one of the only ones offering us a 3rd round pick. So we're going to fall back a few spots here in the 2nd round, pick up a 3rd and a 6th this year, and it looks like a 7th for next season. Obviously, we fell back pretty far in the 2nd round, but I still feel like we can pick up a really good player. Outside linebacker Zach Bonham out of Boise State comes in with B block shedding, B pursuit, B zone coverage, A tackle, has elite speed and acceleration, B to D awareness, which does kind of scare me. I'm going to really hope that it's not the D side of that, but Bonham, welcome to Minnesota with a hidden dev trait. Well, this team still kind of needs really everything, so I'm looking at nearly every single position on every pick, but I think I've settled on tight end Carlos Jackson here in the 3rd round out of Florida State with A catching traffic, B catching, B deep route, has great speed, elite strength, and marginal acceleration. Carlos Jackson, you will be our starting tight end with a hidden dev trait as well. I am going to acknowledge right now that this pick might end up being a bit of a reach. We have the 9th pick in the 4th round, and I am looking at running back Gregory Poe out of Florida A&M. A ball carrier vision, A break tackle, B carrying, C catching. We do not know his awareness. It's between a C and an F, so that is kind of concerning. But he does have some solid speed. He ran a 4.48 and a 4.42. So we are going to take running back Gregory Poe and really hope he's a solid player. He is a normal dev trait, unfortunately. Moving on to our next pick, we have the 1st pick of the 5th round. We're going to use it on defensive back Glenn McAllister out of Auburn with C catching, C man coverage, and B press. Good speed, good acceleration. He's 6'1", 207 pounds. Welcome to Minnesota and another normal dev trait. Generally in these drafts, I don't really like to take these guys at all that fall this far, but outside linebacker Brandon Watkins out of West Georgia was projected in rounds 2 to 3. has C awareness, C play rec. I am fine with that at the end of the 5th round, which is where we are at. So we're going to go ahead and take Brandon Watkins and another normal depth trait. Not really shocked on that one though. Just a couple picks later, we now have the number 1 pick in the 6th round, and I'm looking at wide receiver Delonte Goodwell out of Oklahoma. I do think this is a bit of a risky pick, but we are in the 6th round, so is there really such a thing as risky pick? Obviously not much of a burner. He ran a 4.62 and a 4.6, which is actually kind of awful for a receiver. But he does have C short route, C release, C catching traffic. Maybe a guy that can develop for us. So he is going to get drafted here with a normal depth trait. Once again, not a shock. And now for our final pick in the draft, pick number 23 of the 6th round, I'm looking at left tackle Chad Josephson out of Texas A&M, 21 years old. And for a projection of undrafted, he actually has some really solid ratings. B awareness, B pass block power, and run block, A impact blocking. His strength is solid. So we're going to go ahead and draft this guy, and he's going to come in as a normal depth trait. Not a shock here in the 7th round at all. Just one problem with that, and it's the fact that it's the 6th round, not the 7th round. And I already said that, but either way, time to jump to the end of the draft. And Jimmy Edwards, the quarterback we took with the number 1 overall pick, is a 77 overall. With 95 throw power, 84 deep accuracy, 81 medium, 83 short accuracy, 77 awareness. I think we should be able to develop this kid into a really, really good quarterback. The rest of the draft, though, we took an outside linebacker in the 2nd round in Zach Bonham, who is a 75 overall. We got a 74 overall tight end in Carlos Jackson, a 70 overall running back in Gregory Poe. Then we got a 67 overall corner, a 61 overall outside linebacker. Brandon Watkins was not a good draft pick by me, a 69 overall receiver in Delonte Goodwell, and a 68 overall left tackle in Chad Josephson. Well, there is some unfortunate news in the fact that with that 2nd round pick, I could have taken Dominique Nash, who was a 78 overall running back. Probably would have been much better than the actual guy we got, but we do have one of the best quarterbacks in the class because the other one down here is JT Kavanaugh, who is also a 77 overall. And does he also come with a hidden depth trait? Yes, he does. So these two guys are probably going to be linked for a while in their careers. But I do want to see where the other quarterback ended up going. Frank Welch ended up going to Indianapolis, and he is a 74 overall with a normal depth trait. Had I spent the number 1 pick on him, I would have been absolutely livid. I'm not going to go crazy at the start of every single season and sign a bunch of guys on cheap deals to just make this team slightly better than what it appears to be. But we are going to sign at least a couple guys, probably every season, or at least I'll look at them. But this season, we are going to bring in a wide receiver Tyquan Thornton because he has 97 speed, and I think he can really, really help out our rookie quarterback. And I will also look at some of the undrafted free agents every season, like middle linebacker Sidney Little out of Penn State, 22 years old, 65 overall, has 89 speed, 78 tackle, 91 acceleration, 69 play rec, which isn't super high, but it is kind of high for an undrafted rookie. Another undrafted free agent we're going to be bringing in is running back Deshaun Marsh out of San Diego State. He comes in with 91 speed, 88 acceleration, 80 ball carrier vision, 79 carrying. He might be able to find the field a bit. And then we're going to bring in one more experienced backup, and that's going to be tight end Grant Calcaterra. I have found another undrafted free agent we're going to bring in. That is strong safety Jack Johnson at a 65 overall. He will immediately be our starter at the position. After getting through the preseason, here is going to be your starting roster at the beginning of this season. The only thing that's going to be different is Gaines is currently injured, so he will not be able to start here. So it looks like Hunter gets the start at a 57 overall, so I am sorry, Edwards, about your debut. You're probably getting murdered. The only kind of weird thing over here on defense is Shelby Harris has been signed for some reason. I assume there was an injury in the preseason and the CPU just took it upon themselves to sign one of the guys there. Only a 72 overall, so I'm not too upset by it, but this will be the starting defense. We once again have to set a season goal, but considering we lost every single game last season, how about we just make our goal 4 wins? From here, we're going to jump over to the mid-season point and see if we have picked up a win this year. We are still not a very good team, obviously, but we at least pick up a win this year, and as of right now, we are not dead last in the division. Where do we rank offensively? We moved up from 32 all the way to 30, and defensively, we moved up to number 28. And our very first win in this franchise rebuild comes against the Carolina Panthers, who we defeated 30-28. Now, I imagine we are still going to be picking pretty high because I highly doubt we're going to make the playoffs, but let's jump to the end of the season. And it looks like that win against Carolina ends up being our only victory on the season, so at 1-16 we should be picking number 1 again. In his very first NFL season with not much help around him, Jimmy Edwards has 3,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Running the ball, our rookie running back Gregory Poe ran for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns. And receiving, Tyler Scott got over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Van Jefferson got 5. What about our tight end? Carlos Jackson, 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. Landon Collins is the one that leads our team in tackles this year, but rookie outside linebacker Zach Bonham actually came in second place with 108 tackles. He also tied for the lead in sacks on the team because 3 players came away with 2. Zach Bonham, Christian Ellis, and Rasheem Green. And then what about interceptions? Landon Collins got 2. Keitrell Clark, I have no idea how to say your name and I'm sorry, but he also came away with 2 interceptions. And then D. Witters, Cameron Dantzler, Thomas Graham, and Lonnie Johnson all came away with 1. Lamar Jackson ends up leading the league in passing yards yet again, this time with 4,600 yards. The most touchdowns, though, goes to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So there is the decent stat line from Mahomes that I was expecting last season. But the most interceptions is Landon Steffa, a rookie quarterback out of Hawaii who got drafted to New England. That is quite a climate change. Broncos running back Nick Chubb had 1,700 yards, but the most touchdowns goes to Bijan Robinson, who had 27. I believe Breece Hall was the one that had 27 last season, but now Bijan has done it. The most receptions on the year is DK Metcalf, who is now a Lion. Mike Williams and Amari Cooper are both also up here. What about the most yards? That goes to T. Higgins, and most touchdowns goes to Paris Campbell, who is a Cardinal, who got 15 touchdowns. I honestly did not expect with the stat line he had that Jimmy Edwards would win the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, but he came away with that award, and we also got Zach Bonham to take home the Defensive Rookie of the Year. The Atlanta Falcons have now won back-to-back Super Bowls led by Patrick Mahomes, and he also wins the NFL MVP this year. Coach of the Year goes to Doug Peterson. Offensive Player of the Year is Bijan Robinson. Defensive Player of the Year is J.O.K., who now plays for the Chiefs, so the Chiefs take home both the Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. And then the Rookie of the Year award goes to the 2 in the AFC, but we at least got the XP and the upgrades for our guys. Let's see how many of these contracts I am willing to throw out. First, we will offer a 1-year extension to Rasheem Green, see if he comes back on that. He is going to be testing free agency though. How about left guard John Gaines? Can we get you back on a 1-year deal? He has some interest, but no, he's also going to be going to free agency. Just because we really don't have much depth at O-line, let's see if we can bring back right tackle Matt Pert on a 1-year deal, and he will actually be re-signing, the first guy we get back this offseason. I would like to bring back Sidney Little. I understand he's not really that highly rated of a player, but we'll up his money a bit. He doesn't have much interest in coming back because he apparently wants to be in a warm weather state, but how about a 1-year deal? And no, he is not going to be coming back. Well, it honestly looks like we're going to be replacing a lot of the team here. There were 20 players ready to negotiate. We only managed to bring back one of them, and it was a not so great tackle. Everyone else either doesn't have a lot of interest or doesn't want to sign. Before I jump into free agency, I want to check out our quarterback, and Jimmy Edwards is now an 82 overall, currently has -3 morale, probably because we went 1-16, but he does have a superstar dev trade. And then Carlos Jackson, the tight end we took in the last draft, is a star dev trade up to a 78 overall. And then finally over on the defense, it looks like Bonham does not go up to a superstar dev trait with the Rookie of the Year. It looks like he is just going to remain a star dev trait. Alright, here is now going to be the free agents I am bringing in this offseason. We got a new left end that I'm not going to try to say his name. Center Nick Gates, quarterback Kirk Cousins to be our new kind of mentor backup, so he makes a return to Minnesota. A 71 overall right guard, a 71 overall left guard. We actually brought back John Gaines. I brought in a new receiver in Scotty Miller, or Scott Miller, I guess as he's just listed in this game, but a 72 overall, a 72 overall left end, a 72 overall right tackle, a 72 overall left tackle, a backup tight end in Will Dissly, a 73 overall safety in Antonio Johnson, a 74 overall defensive tackle, a 76 overall middle linebacker, and then we also slightly overpaid J.K. Dobbins so we could actually get him, but he comes in as an 80 overall with a star dev trade. So I know our offense is nowhere near perfect yet. We obviously still have a long way to go, but I do think this was a massive step in the right direction to hopefully not get our superstar quarterback killed. Kind of same thing over on defense. I think we look a little bit better. Obviously still a lot of room for improvement, but we are taking small steps in the right direction. This year's draft is going to be mostly normal because we have all of our own picks. The only addition is we have a 7th round pick that we got from Chicago, I believe in the last draft. I am really debating this trade back though. I know it's with another divisional rival. I talked about in the last draft how that's not always something that's going to happen, but they would give us the 4th overall pick, a first rounder next year, and a second rounder this year for us to fall back 3 spots. I'm not absolutely in love with anyone here at the number 1 pick, so we're going to go ahead and take this trade with Detroit. And despite us trading back, this was actually the player I was going to take with the number 1 overall pick anyway. Wide receiver Max Johnson has fallen down to 4th overall. He's going to come in with good speed, elite acceleration, A awareness, A juke move, A medium route. He does have C release and F injury, which kind of concerns me. But we're going to go ahead and make this pick anyway. So wide receiver Max Johnson, welcome to the team with a hidden dev trait. We may have just found our wide receiver 1. As we start the second round, we are going to take another trade. The Ravens picked inside the top 10, I believe the last 2 years. I know they definitely picked inside the top 10 this year. They have like a 78 overall Justin Fields at quarterback. So we're going to take this trade, completely trade out of this pick, and get a 1st and a 6th round pick for the next draft. We still have the 4th pick in this round though. I understand this pick might confuse some people because Carson Clifford is projected in rounds 3 to 4, but I don't think he's going to last that long. He's going to come in with good speed, great acceleration, then he has A awareness, B play rec, B block shed, A zone coverage. Yeah, we're going to go and take Carson Clifford to try to lock up our middle linebacker spot, and he will have a hidden dev trait. I am literally never going to be upset about drafting a guy way too early as long as he comes in with a hidden dev trait and solid ratings, and I think this guy is going to be a pretty solid rating for us. Now as we jump into the 3rd round of the draft, I'm looking at center Joe Sambucci out of Florida. I probably said his name wrong, but A awareness, A impact block. The B to D run block does slightly concern me, but considering all of his other ratings look really solid, at least the ones that we know, and he has great strength, we're going to go ahead and take this guy, and please be a hidden dev trait. He will come in with that hidden dev trait, thankfully. Defensive back Sheldon Kitchens is here at the start of the 4th round, a 23-year-old out of Washington with B man coverage, B press, and C zone. Has good speed, solid acceleration, and his play rec is a D, which is kind of concerning. A to C awareness. This is 100% a risky pick, but we're going to go and take Sheldon Kitchens, and he will come in also with a hidden dev trait. I honestly have no idea how this pick is going to work out. The F deep route and F release are definitely not great, but does have B catching and C catching traffic with great speed. Ran a 4.39 and a 4.38. C awareness, C ball carrier vision. We're going to bring in wide receiver Nolan Wilson out of Tennessee, and he will be our first player drafted, I believe, in this draft with a normal dev trait. For our next pick, I am looking at outside linebacker Jermaine Selvey, who was projected to go undrafted, but we don't know a ton about him. But what we can see is most of his ratings seem to at least be in a solid area for a 6th round pick. Also has good speed, great acceleration. So Jermaine Selvey, you have been drafted and have a hidden dev trait. All right, I will take that. As we now kick off the 7th round of the draft, we're going to take corner Kareem Barnett. I may end up moving him over to safety though. Has C zone coverage, C catching. Do we actually know his tackle rating? It's an A? Yeah, you're probably going to move to safety with a 4.42 speed and a 4.39 speed. Kareem Barnett, you have been drafted with a normal dev trait, but it's whatever. I'm moving you over to safety most likely. We also own pick number 4 here in the 7th round. We have one more after this, but with this one, we're going to take defensive end Dennis Martino, and he's going to come in as a normal dev trait. Not really, surprising here in the 7th round at all. And our final pick of the draft here at pick number 18 in the 7th round will be wide receiver BJ Derby out of LSU. C catching traffic, C catching, a B release, does have F deep route running, but ran a 4.5 at the combine and a 4.44 at the pro day. So BJ Derby, welcome to the team and another normal dev trait for us. Yeah, I'm going to say I am perfectly fine with who we took in the 1st round. Max Johnson comes in as an 81 overall, 91 speed, 94 acceleration, 82 catching, 80 catching traffic, 87 medium route running. Yeah, I think we just found our wide receiver 1. And the rest of the draft was not absolutely horrible. Carson Clifford's a 73 overall middle linebacker. Joe Sambucci's a 74 overall center. We also got a 70 overall corner in Kitchens, a 68 overall receiver, a 66 overall outside linebacker, a 68 overall corner, a 59 overall left end, not my best selection, and then BJ Derby is a 67 overall receiver. As of right now, it looks like we were smart to trade back and still end up with one of the best players in the draft, if not the best player. He is the highest rated. We did miss out on a strong safety. Bernie Wembley would have really been able to help this defense, but we'll have to look at safety elsewhere. Like with rookie corner Kareem Barnett, we're going to go in and edit him right now over to safety. He is a 68 overall corner, which is actually pretty solid, I feel like, for the 7th round of the draft. But moving him over to strong safety, and let's see what his rating goes to now. He goes down to a 67. Alright, so not great, but that's where you're going to be playing. However, because he is not really a starting caliber player, we are going to be signing safety Tony Adams, who is a 75 overall and a scheme fit for us. Well, I think for Season 3, we look a lot better right now. Max Johnson over here at receiver at an 82 overall right now. Our brand new center at a 75 overall. We should be a much better team. On top of the offense starting to look a bit better, the defense is getting a lot of hidden dev traits this season. We have 3 starting. However, we're still going to set our season goal to be 4 wins because we really haven't proven we can even do that yet. But now it is time to jump to the mid-season point and see if we have maybe more than 1 win at that point this year. Unfortunately, we do not have a win yet this year, but the Lions are also 0-7, so they're apparently going to fight with us for that number 1 overall pick this year. We are the number 32 offense, which is not great, and the number 23 defense. So now let's just jump to the playoffs and see exactly how this season has played out, or if we go 0-17 again. Well, we don't go completely winless again, we do go 1-16 again though. But quarterback Jimmy Edwards had a bit of a better year, 3,600 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. On the ground, J.K. Dobbins ran for 800 yards, and then receiving, Max Johnson, our rookie receiver, over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns. Ronnie Bell over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. What about Carlos Jackson? He got 400 yards and 4 scores. And then over on defense, it looks like Henley led our team in tackles, with Clifford being in 2nd place. I do like to see that. Sacks, D. Winters got 2, and then a bunch of people only got 1. Interceptions, Keitrell Clark got 2, Thomas Graham got 2, Antonio Johnson got 1, and it does not look like our rookie actually, never mind, Kareem Barnett, our safety, our backup safety actually got 1. This season though, Desmond Ridder leads the league in passing yards with 4,700. The most touchdowns goes to Anthony Richardson in Dallas, who threw 46 of them, and the most picks is JoJo Rice, a rookie in Miami. Saquon Barkley over in Washington now leads the league in rushing yards with 1,700. Touchdowns goes to Breece Hall, who just had 27 a couple seasons ago, got 23 this year. Receiving, Amari Cooper is the only one to catch at least 100 passes, and also is going to lead the league in yards with 1,400, and touchdowns goes to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this year's Super Bowl goes to the New Orleans Saints, 17-10 over Cincinnati. Lamar Jackson wins MVP, Brandon Staley wins Coach of the Year, Breece Hall is Offensive Player of the Year, Myles Garrett is Defensive Player of the Year, and then a rookie quarterback for the Saints won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and a defensive end for the Jets won Defensive Rookie of the Year. But that is going to wrap up the first episode of the worst fantasy draft rebuild I could possibly do, and it is off to about as good of a start as I really expected it to be.